Stop. No matter what you're doing right now, stop. What I'm about to say isn't for everyone passing through this place. It's for you, because what you've been feeling isn't just exhaustion. It's a calling that has turned into a weight because you've tried to walk at the world's speed, while your spirit already knows it's late for something only you can fulfill. You felt it today. A strange urgency, a jolt in your soul, a clear sense that even though everyone around you keeps running, you should have stopped a long time ago to hear the voice that's summoning you. You've been carrying a question nobody around you can answer, because they don't see the horizon you see, and on this Friday, the silence has finally been broken. For the time we spend together, you're going to recognize the 5 signs that have been repeating in your life and understand what they really mean for your next cycle. You're going to grasp the unique pattern that has been blocking access to what you've been chasing, and before this transmission ends, there will be a declaration I'll speak directly over your life, something I believe is the exact reason this calling found you today. This isn't about human effort, it's about recognition. You've been feeling sudden waves of emotion with no apparent cause, like sadness or euphoria crossing your chest without asking permission. Conversations that once felt normal now ring hollow, empty of meaning, as if you're talking to people living on a different level of reality than yours. You've been waking up repeatedly at the same hour in the middle of the night with a mental clarity that contrasts with the physical exhaustion of your day. You feel that despite all your dedication, the doors remain closed, and that feeling of invisibility has been your heaviest burden. You've been working harder than anyone you know, and still, you feel that something fundamental hasn't even started yet. The truth is, this exhaustion isn't a lack of faith, it's calibration. The distance you feel from old connections isn't isolation, it's alignment. That hour that wakes you up isn't a sleep disorder, it's a summons. Your fingers typing those 3 digits are your spirit saying yes to the authorization you've been seeking. It's the smallest of agreements, but it's the most real. Type 888, and then come right back to me. The problem, you see, isn't that you're not working hard enough. The problem is that you've been operating from a structure of effort that wasn't designed for your new season. You've been pulling ropes that aren't attached to anything anymore. You've been pouring a tremendous hunger into the wrong path. You've been sacrificing yourself for a stage that isn't yours. When you try to force open a door that should only be walked through, you consume the energy you'd need to move in the right direction. You're trying to build on soil that's already being prepared for removal. There's a deeper layer here. When you look back at the years you silenced yourself to fit into others' expectations, you realize you inherited a survival posture from people who never had the chance to rest. You carry the weight of generations who believed that if they weren't exhausted, they weren't being faithful to their purpose. But what you call delay, what you call failure or stagnation, is actually a great pause that was orchestrated to protect what you're about to harvest. You're not losing time. You're being removed from a system of hurry that was never your rightful place. Time for you isn't linear, it's responsive. And for it to respond to your call, you need to let go of the reins you've been gripping so tightly all these years. Picture a garden that has an invisible clock. Seeds don't sprout because the gardener is shouting or running between the beds. They sprout when the cycle of the season meets the readiness of the soil. You've been the seed insisting on breaking through the ground before the rain. But now, the rain is coming. What you feel as an agonizing delay is the preparation of the soil for a harvest that can't be rushed. Your hurry is what has been preventing your growth, because hurry is the language of fear, and you weren't called to live by fear. You were called to live by provision. The stagnation you feel is the outer world pausing so you can finally find the rhythm of your own breath. And that breath is the key that unlocks what was held back. You no longer need to fight against time. You only need to surrender to time, because time is now working in your favor. What was postponed wasn't denied, it was preserved. What you thought you lost during this season of silence was actually stored in a barn you didn't yet have the authority to open. But now, because of this surrender, it's within your reach. Authority comes from rest. Victory comes from trust. Your delay is just proof that you were in a race that wasn't yours. And now that you've stopped, now that you've admitted you don't have control, the true journey can finally begin. The diagnosis of your stagnation is simple, though it hurts to recognize. You've been pouring voracious energy into paths that no longer carry your signature. For years, you believed your loyalty would be measured by the level of exhaustion you carried at the end of the day. You sacrificed yourself on the altar of other people's productivity, carrying burdens that were never handed to you, believing that if you stopped, the world would collapse. But the opposite happened. You became so efficient at carrying others' weight that you forgot how to carry your own identity. You became a master at sustaining what should have been left behind. That constant effort, that pushing of doors already locked for a reason, created a deep weariness in you that isn't physical, it's existential. You feel like you're running on a treadmill, sweating, spending every ounce of vigor, but the landscape around you stays the same. Stagnation isn't a lack of movement. It's movement in the direction opposite your purpose. You're not stuck because you lack ability. You're stuck because the environment you tried to build with your own sweat can't support the weight of the glory you carry. Your self-sacrifice was actually a way to try to control the outcome, a human attempt to guarantee what can only be achieved through surrender. And now you find yourself exhausted, feeling that time has passed, that others have moved ahead, and that you've been left behind in a line that seems endless. But this feeling of delay is the first evidence that you're being realigned. Now picture, with your mind's eye, what we call the garden of the clock. This is a place where hours aren't counted by the hands of mechanical clocks or by the urgency of the world's demands. In this garden, time is governed by the maturity of life, not by the hurry to harvest. You've spent your whole life trying to force flowers to bloom before springtime, tearing off petals, using artificial fertilizers, shouting for the sun to shine faster. But in the garden of the clock, the gardener doesn't force the seed to break through the soil. He trusts that at the exact moment light and moisture meet, life will manifest. You've been an anxious gardener, running back and forth, forgetting that your role was never to make the plant grow, only to prepare the ground and protect the space where life happens. Your human hurry is noise that drives away the peace needed for germination. When you finally understand that the time of harvest is a divine decree, not a human performance goal, you realize that the delay you feared so much was just the time for roots to mature. Roots that need to be deep to support the magnitude of what's coming. If you had harvested earlier, the wind of the first storm would have knocked down your structure. What seems like delay is actually a safeguard. You are not late. You are in the exact time of your own preparation, and the garden of the clock demands that you abandon hurry so you can learn to hear the whisper of the seasons changing. If something inside you right now has silenced your anxiety and recognized that this waiting has a greater purpose, if the image of the garden finally fit the emptiness you carried in your chest, type the words, "I am ready." The act of writing these 3 words with the clear intention of surrender is the seal you place on this recognition. Don't type as someone asking. Type as someone accepting the time that now opens before you. Your recognition is the key that opens the door to the garden of the clock. Type, "I am ready," and then walk back with me without hurry through this revelation we're building. Now understand what the true solution means. The solution isn't to do more, to seek more strategies, or to find new methods to force the doors open. The solution is rest as the supreme strategy. When I say rest, I don't mean sleep, and I don't mean stopping work. I mean the rest of the soul that no longer needs to prove its worth. It's the letting go, the conscious relaxation of the tensions you've accumulated trying to be the architect of your own destiny. Letting go is the strategy of someone who understands that when you release control, what really matters begins to flow toward you. You realize that the productivity you were chasing was just a symptom of fear, and that true effectiveness is born from a state of peace where you simply allow the plan to unfold. By letting go, you allow what is heavy to fall and what is light to rise. It's like a boat that to sail must release the anchors holding it to the ocean floor. You've been carrying anchors of others' expectations, past guilt and fears about the future. Let go. Let those anchors stay where they belong, in the past. You were called to sail in deep waters, and you can't do that if you're tied to the seabed. Letting go is your most powerful act of faith. It's the declaration that you trust the movement of the currents more than your individual effort to row against the tide. When you rest, you aren't stopping your life. You are finally allowing it to move at the speed designed for you. What you let go of now, what you drop, is what will no longer have the power to delay you on the journey that is beginning to be revealed. If something in this process of letting go, in this revelation that your human effort isn't the measure of your harvest, touched the deepest part of your being, allow your gesture to be an amen without words. It's not an indicator of numbers, not a metric for the world to see, but a silent agreement between your will and what is being revealed here. When you tap the screen, you confirm that what was said has found fertile soil in you. It's a seal of recognition that what you heard isn't a new idea, but an ancient memory of something you always knew, yet the world's hurry had hidden. Take a deep breath and let that gesture be your yes. Right now, as you stabilize in this new frequency of surrender, another image projects into your mind. There is someone, a specific person, carrying a burden that no one else can see. Maybe it's someone you know, someone who has shown constant exhaustion, a tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. That person is someone who works harder than everyone around them, but secretly feels that the door they're trying to open remains locked, as if there's an invisible resistance in the air. That person has the quality of silent resilience. They carry the weight of the world without complaining, but their eyes betray a thirst for an alignment they don't know how to find. That person needs to hear this call, needs to understand that their delay isn't incompetence, but a soiled preparation they haven't grasped yet. Send this message to them, not as someone suggesting content, but as someone handing over a key. You were the vehicle, the one who received first so you could serve as a bridge for someone suffocating in their own effort. Do this as an act of care, a simple ministry of recognizing the other, of seeing someone else's pain and understanding that the answer is the same for both of you. Now feel, in the silence that has formed between us, the weight of this delivery. You are positioning yourself in a new way. Where there was once despair over results, now there is certainty in the promise. Where there was once the hurry of someone afraid of being left behind, now there is the serenity of someone who understands the time of harvest. You realize that the delay was just protection against a premature harvest, something you wouldn't have had the structure to sustain if it had come when you wanted it. Everything that happened, every door that closed, every path that led to nothing was actually the garden of the clock working in your favor, adjusting your rhythm so that when the door opens, you are ready to inhabit the place that is already yours. Before this moment of recognition ends, and before you return to the rhythm of your day, I want you to stand firm in the truth of your identity. Type the words, "I am the chosen one." Don't do it as a request or as a distant hope you're trying to reach. Type it as a confirmation of authority. The agreement formed between your spirit and the voice you heard in these minutes is not a passing event. It is the foundation on which your next season of life will be built. By writing it, You are declaring that you accept your place, that you recognize your calling, and that you no longer feel out of place, because you finally understand that those who are called do not get lost. They simply wait for the time to be manifested. You are committed to the purpose that was designed even before you were born. You are commissioned to live this truth without looking at what others are achieving, because your measure isn't theirs. You are sent to bring peace where there is anxiety, to bring clarity where there is confusion, and to be living proof that when you abandon hurry, life finally begins to bloom at the right time. You now walk with the authority of someone who no longer needs to run, who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone, who knows that their worth is intrinsic, unshakable, and eternal. You are the expression of a plan that does not fail, and because of that, you can walk with your head held high, with light shoulders, and with a heart absolutely anchored in the certainty that what was, what is, and what is to come are all under the care of that same hand that brought you here today. Everything you carried to reach this moment served only to prepare you for the maturity of someone who now understands the importance of rest, the strategy of letting go, and the wisdom of active waiting. Your life, from this Friday forward, will no longer be measured by the amount of effort you put in, but by the quality of listening you devote to what your inner self already knows to be true. You have found your rhythm. You have found your peace. You have found your place. And from now on, every step you take will be the step of someone who knows exactly where they are going, even if the path is still revealing itself, because you trust the guide who dwells in your chest. Hurry has given way to hope, and hope has given way to certainty. It is in this certainty that you rise. It is in this certainty that you move, and it is in this certainty that you finally allow your life to happen, without needing to force it, because you now understand that what is yours has already been prepared, and the time to receive it is God's time, not yours. What you have been feeling is not the weight of defeat, but the discomfort of an armor that has become too small for the size of the mission entrusted to you. You tried to fill the gaps with work, with doubled effort, with the attempt to control every variable of your day, but that constant vigilance only masked the voice that was trying to tell you that the time to fight the current has passed. There is a level of maturity that is only reached in the silence of surrender, when you finally understand that it is not your hurry that dictates the arrival of the harvest, but the quality of the soil you have cultivated while waiting. While you ran toward a horizon that seemed to move further away with every step, your inner self was being prepared, layer by layer, so it wouldn't break under the weight of the abundance approaching. There is no delay in what is guided by a wisdom that transcends our limited vision. There is only the time needed for your structure to support the magnitude of what is coming. What you call waiting is actually the building of your foundation. Every day you thought you were losing ground, you were gaining depth. Life is not denying you what you desire. It is sparing you from receiving before you have the capacity to sustain what is yours by destiny. Stop looking sideways at the pace of those who seem to have arrived first, and turn your gaze to the work being done in your secret garden, where roots grow away from the eyes, preparing the support for a blossoming that will be impossible to ignore. This movement of returning to the center is not a retreat. It is a course correction, so that you don't arrive at your destination empty-handed, but overflowing with the fullness that is only gained when we stop trying to force the door that wasn't yet the moment to walk through. The mismatch you feel with the external world is the clear sign that you are being tuned to a frequency that does not require rushing to be heard, only a constant readiness, an attentive listening that is not shaken by the pressures of a routine that no longer belongs to your greater purpose. What you carry is a calling that demands integrity, and integrity does not accept shortcuts. That is why your feeling of being behind is actually evidence that you are being preserved. preserved from wear and tear, preserved from hasty choices, preserved for the exact moment when your readiness will meet the opportunity designed specifically for your spirit. Now feel how this truth settles into you, how it dissolves the anguish of comparison and replaces urgency with the rest of someone who knows that in the divine economy, no minute is wasted when the heart is properly aligned with its place of origin. Do not try to speed up what is in the process of maturing, because the fruit harvested before its time loses the sweetness and nourishment that only patience can confer. Surrender control. Let go of the need to explain your path to those who do not understand your journey, and allow the order that governs the universe to handle the details that until now consumed all your time and drained your vital energy. From now on, your productivity will be measured by your ability to silence the noise and hear the direction that comes from within, guiding each of your movements with a precision that human logic could never replicate. Let this declaration seal what has just been revealed in your own spiritual record. The act of typing these 3 words transforms recognition into a permanent truth in your walk. Type, then return to me. You know, what you've been feeling isn't a failure. It's a gestation, and gestation doesn't know hurry. If you feel like you're carrying a weight no one else can see, if you've been working past exhaustion while watching doors that refuse to open, I know exactly what you're going through. There's someone in your life, someone you know well, who needs to hear this message today. Someone who's been showing an unusual stillness, carrying a tiredness that isn't physical but soul deep, and who's been trying to keep up a smile while the world demands a pace they can no longer match. That person's face came to your mind just now as I was speaking, didn't it? Send them this link, not as a casual recommendation, but as a delivery. What was revealed to you today doesn't belong to you alone. It's a seed you're being called to plant in someone else's soil. Look at your path with fresh eyes. What you call a delay is only your preservation. You weren't forgotten. You were kept for a fulfillment that requires the maturity only silence could give you. If this moment confirmed what your spirit already knew, let your like be your wordless amen, not as a metric record, but as a silent agreement that what was named here is the truth of your current moment. Not as a wish, not as a distant hope. Type it as a confirmation. The covenant formed between your listening and the voice that calls you is something you will carry through the next cycles of your life. Type slowly. Feel the weight and authority of these words as your fingers complete the gesture. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Right now, in every corner of the world, others are receiving this same calling and experiencing this same awakening, just like you. You are part of a movement that doesn't seek the spotlight or public recognition, and that's precisely why it is unshakable and real.